After watching each game this season, we have multiple reasons to believe in. Nick Nurse is just not the guy for the job. Nick Nurse is not the head coach to lead this team to success. And a fit for this team, an identity and a culture with a leader who's going to set the flag in the ground and make sure this team stays steady on the course. I just don't think you can have a Nurse do that. These seem like doctor's tasks. Like, comment, subscribe, but most importantly, thank you guys for dropping in, stopping in. All Sixer Daily Fanatics, thank you guys for helping this conversation continue to flow, the channel continue to grow, and hopefully we build up enough rapport and fan base that we can make sure that Nick Nurse, his time is time to go. Nick Nurse has got to get out of Philadelphia, guys, because I think all the problems in Philly start with the nurse. Somebody call the doctor. No, not Dr. J, just someone who's a little more educated about how to get this team to play at championship level, because I don't think Nick Nurse has got it in him. Realistically, in the fourth quarter, you know what? Realistically, in the second half, man, this team played tragic, terrible. Now, you're used to questionable third quarters from this Philadelphia 76ers squad. You're used to third quarter conundrums, but you're not used to bad fourth quarters on top of it. You're not used to this team putting two consecutive bad quarters together or just a terrible half together, and especially not used to them doing it to a team that is such low caliber as the Golden State Warriors without Jimmy Butler, Stephen Curry, Draymond Green, even Jonathan Kuminga has been playing at playoff caliber level that you saw him last season. So who on this Golden State squad was able to surmount a comeback? Steve Kerr. Steve Kerr, you cannot pinpoint one individual player that was just on fire, that got the ball rolling more than the former player in Steve Kerr with his coaching adjustments, with his lineups, and with his change of pace. He realized, one, without Tyrese Maxey on the court, without Joel Embiid on the court, this team offensively doesn't have any real direction or real identity of who should be taking a shot and what shot that person should be looking and aiming for. There's no consistency in these offensive sets unless Tyrese Maxey is creating it, unless Tyrese Maxey is at the helm of it, or unless Joel Embiid is in a pick and roll doing what he does best, dropping that jab step mid-range. But can we trust Nick Nurse? The honest question to this answer, I believe, is no, 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 no. Because in the fourth quarter, all right, in the fourth quarter, ATOs, after timeout plays, when you need a game-winning shot, Nick Nurse has yet to draw up a good play, a good scheme, and a good closing game-winning shot. And I'll have you know, this team has been in more than 4 game-winning situations and game-winning scenarios where developing and getting a clean look, which is the coach's job, seems like it's not done. They're coming out of these timeouts, coming out of these huddles, either not knowing what play to run or just not having the repetition to run these plays smoothly. And that, guys, goes straight down to coaching. Coaching. Luckily, guys, there's some things that you just can't coach. You can't coach VJ Edgecombe's effort. You can't coach the hustle that this team has. And most importantly, guys, you can't coach a put-back game-winning shot, especially when it's this player's first ever game winner. VJ Edgecombe, the game-winning putback that he put up against those Golden State Warriors was his first game winner of his basketball career. He had this to say: for me, it was more so give the ball to Tyrese and get out of the way. I know he's going to make a play. They sent a double team at him, but I trust him. I trust him with the game on the line every night. And if you're VJ Edgecombe, a rookie in this league, and you're seeing Tyrese Maxey playing an MVP, you have every reason and every right to trust that Tyrese Maxey is going to make something happen. If you're Nick Nurse and you're the head coach of this team, your job's not to trust that your players make something happen. Your job's to put them in position to allow their talent to take over so they're able to do something extraordinary based off of the play that you design, based off of the sets and the schemes that you put in place. If you're Nick Nurse, your job's not to trust, your job is to implement. And That just didn't happen, guys. Tyrese Maxey, we saw a double team draw or through at him. He forced a sidestep mid-range shot, a tough side range mid-range shot that Tyrese Maxey's capable and able of making. But was it the best look? Was it the best scheme? When you have guys like LeBron James who are comfortable and capable of finding the open man, getting off of the ball, and hitting the open swing man for a game-winning shot, there's outlets, there's counters, there's certain players that if this doesn't happen, then let's do this. And with Nick Nurse's schemes, if this doesn't happen, let's just figure it out, has been the name of the game. For me, that's a problem. So I'm glad VJ was honest about what happened in the huddle there. Get the ball to Tyrese and move out of the way. He continued his quote with this saying, "Tonight, it looked like he got fouled," which it did. I'll say it was a foul, which VJ Edgecombe should not be saying. If he wants to keep that money, VJ stay clear away from foul conversations. But VJ Edgecombe had this to say: "Tonight, it looked like he got fouled. I'll say it was a foul. Yeah, no call. So I tracked the rebound, tried to make a play, and he made a hell of a play blocking the shot because he had a clean layup." The Sixer team, who started this game on a 22-0 run and was up by 20, won this game by one score because they were outscored in the second half by over 20, by like 21 points. The same 22-0 run they put together in the first quarter, they gave up those 22 points in the second half. It's tragic. It's terrible. I think it has everything to do with, one, Tyrese Maxey took his foot off the gas. If Tyrese Maxey isn't going to continue to play at full throttle because he needs to save his body, save his energy, and save his effort for the second half of a back-to-back, which was tonight, which is exactly why I could see why some of the lineups, some of Joel Embiid's minutes, some of Tyrese Maxey's shot taking, it kind of did dissipate and diminish in the second half because we got a game coming up tomorrow. I got to save my body, my mind for tomorrow. But I also think it has to do with the lineups, guys. The forward depth here is not the best. Nick Nurse does employ these three-headed guarded lineups, and against Golden State, you would expect a three-headed guarded lineup to do great because Golden State doesn't have the size, the physicality, or the youth to really match up with Tyrese Maxey, VJ Edgecombe, Grimes, or McCain all on the court at the same time. They shouldn't be able to. Defensively, that should be a good matchup for the Sixers squad to employ a three-guard lineup. But the real problem is that their forward depth just isn't the best. Paul George has not been able to garner consistent minutes, consistent looks. And Kelly Oubre, who's having a career year, just isn't out there anymore. When speaking on Kelly Oubre and Kelly Oubre speaking on his absence, listen, Kelly says it sucks. Listen, man, I'm trying to stay above water, keep my head above it, which is supposed to say. Trying to fight the depression and all that stuff that comes with not being able to do your job or fulfill your purpose. Kelly Oubre continued saying, "So it's a different challenge, and I'm up for the challenge, and I think the reward at the other side will be great just because I'm trying to take it day by day." And that's the attitude that Kelly Oubre has, and that's the spirit that you want him in, more optimistic than pessimistic, because when he was on the court, he was having a career year. And when Kelly's not out there, we have so many question marks at that forward position. Paul George can't do anything consistently on the offensive end. Defensively, Paul George seems like one of the most reliable players at the small forward, potential power forward position. Him and Dominic Barlow defensively seem like a 1-2-headed Swiss Army knife that can slice through defenses and attack offenses at the perfect angles. But without Paul George finding consistent minutes and a consistent night-to-night lineup basis, it's just Justin Edwards. The only forward that you're relying on is Justin Edwards and Quentin Grimes playing big or small forward minutes, tinier small forward minutes, not as physical, not as forceful, not as long, not as agile. So I think the forward depth is one of the reasons this team just isn't doing great. And again, I think that comes down to coaching. Nick Nurse is the one that gave the green light to go into the season with this team. Nick Nurse is the coach who knew that Paul George just may not be ready, that Kelly Oubre and Justin Edwards were the only two depth pieces you had on this squad. Jabari Walker doesn't have small forward potential. Dominic Barlow doesn't have small forward potential because neither of those guys are spacing the floor consistently. Without Kelly Oubre, the forward depth is not the best, which is why the defensive tenacity and the rim protection plus the rebounding of this squad, it's just been tragic. You needed guys like Quentin Grimes to step up rebounding the ball to compete. You've needed guys like Dominic Barlow, who's on a two-way contract, to play standardized 30-minute games to potentially compete on the defensive and compete on the glass. The forward depth that not only Daryl Morey agreed to, but that Nick Nurse decided to employ this team with is one of the reasons why defensively and offensively there's so many question marks, so many holes, and so many Tyrese Maxey heroic moments. Because if you're not having Tyrese take the three-point shot, you're going to pass it to another guard. I'd rather Tyrese take every shot than find a way to pass this ball to another guard who's not as efficient, who's not as consistent, and who we really won't need to rely on later down the stretch, as you will look for Tyrese Maxey to be as comfortable as he needs to be to close out these games. I think it comes down to coaching, guys, and hopefully on a back-to-back you can see what the coach had cooked up. I don't think Joel Embiid plays tonight, so we should be seeing some Adembona minutes. For Nick Nurse not to play Adembona in last night's matchup, when you saw that they were getting outpaced, outchased, out-physicaled, you need to play Adembona. You don't need to play, regardless of how great Andre Drummond is playing, there are going to be certain matchups and certain nights where Adembona should be getting the look instead of Drum. And because Adembona didn't play many minutes last night, I expect him to get a plethora of the workload tonight. Maybe 30 minutes. Maybe 35 minutes. I really want to see what Adembona has in longer stints because Miles Turner, matchup-wise, offensively, shouldn't be that much of a tough puzzle for Bona to figure out. Jericho Sims should be matching up perfectly with Adembona, and the pace, the speed that you want this team to potentially play with on the second night of a back-to-back. If they start off with Adembona, that may mean they start off with a lot of firepower, a lot of speed, a lot of pace, and potentially give this Milwaukee Bucks defense some challenges that they cannot combat without Giannis Antetokounmpo. What to watch for? Not only Adembona minutes, but the rotation that they do employ, and who's going to be out there in that rotation as an overall. Who's going to be healthy? Like, comment, and subscribe, guys. Tell me, do you think this Sixers squad is supposed to win this Milwaukee Bucks game? Listen, against the Washington Wizards, they played the way they should have played, a blowout. Against the Golden State Warriors, they were playing the way you wanted them to play, treading towards a blowout. On a second night of a back-to-back, what do you expect to see from this team? I want to see them to compete. I want to see competition, but I also want to see consistency on the offensive end. No more Tyrese Maxey heroic games. Find this guy a running mate. Find this guy some help. Don't put it in the hands of a rookie VJ Edgecombe who's shooting the ball closer to like 30% than he is to 40 like he was early in the season. His three-point shot is taking a dip as well. Maybe finding and giving Jared McCain some minutes. Maybe finding and giving Justin Edwards more shots. Who knows? But you're going to need somebody else, not named Tyrese, obviously not Joel, probably not PG, to step up so this team can compete. I do expect Paul George to play tonight against Doc Rivers, against Milwaukee, missing the first night of a back-to-back. I expect Paul George to suit up. I don't expect Joel Embiid to suit up, which is a huge problem, again, coaching-wise. How can this team get consistent? How can this team get comfortable with one another if they're not getting the in-game on-court reps? Guys, like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know what you think about not only the nurse and why we should call the doctor, but what do you want to see against Milwaukee tonight? On the road, mind you.